A summer of Psalms. We've had Ian providing us with the theological background to the Psalter and neatly establishing Psalm 23 as the steadfast companion we all love, while also bringing Psalm 103 close to our hearts as a celebration of faith. David quoted C.S. Lewis to declare Psalm 19 the most beautiful poem ever written, and inspired us to consider Psalms of creation as our prompts to protect our planet. Sally linked Psalm 46 right into the pulse of our times, our current fears, and enhanced the Psalm's image of God being a place of strong protection. Be still and know that I am God. Tim used Psalm 139 to describe his own faith and that pure, honest relationship with God we can all have and have an opportunity to have. Sarah referenced the temple on Mount Zion, where the Ark of the Covenant is kept, when putting Psalm 121 into historical context, and reminded us of our active part in lifting our head to God to find him. So many images evoked over the weeks. Such a wonderful opportunity to look more closely at ancient poems. This slide only has snippets, and perhaps I have recollected very different snippets to what lingers in your minds. More of that later, but first to my favourite Psalm 8, read so beautifully by David. Why is Psalm 8 my favourite? Or is it really Psalm 23? And a bit like Ian, I didn't dare to say that one. It could prove even more complicated than that. My own personal knowledge of the Psalms is admittedly limited. I first studied some of them during the 2-year preparation course for my confirmation at the University Church of Oxford St Mary's, of course St Mary's, in 1991. And then again with the home group during lockdown in 2020-21, where we followed this study book. It's written by Eugene Peterson, who may be familiar to you as the author of The Message, which is so often a wonderful bridge between the scriptures and modern-day experience, simultaneously bringing historical context and understanding of deeper significance to the scriptures. The study of the Psalms he compiled was similar. It led us through 12 Psalms as a home group, separated by this pandemic, but united by a desire to learn more about our faith. Home group. A time to study the Bible in a home setting in a group. The wonderful thing about a home group is there is no testing, no level of entry qualification, no pressure. All you need to do is bring yourself and perhaps just enough curiosity to get you over the threshold. You are usually offered a drink and something tasty. Ours is heavily cake-orientated, especially thanks to Meg, who never fails to be a safety net for the hosts and always brings something delicious along, so we're usually doubly provided for. So with that sweet taste in your mouth, on a cosy armchair, cup of tea to hand, you enjoy something very wonderful. Time to explore the Bible. You could call it time out from life, but the strangest things happen. The study typically becomes a sort of tapestry. Everyone weaves their own experiences into the words. The questions ask you to reflect on aspects of your life, and you find the variety of perspective from others emboldens you to explore and put forward your own. The multiple references to modern life offered through the study increase the chances of the studied scripture coming back to your mind in everyday life. And that is something I find really rewarding. You also get Mark and Trish printing out your talk just 20 minutes before the service when your own printer doesn't work. So they are friends in need and friends indeed. There is also in our home group a strong sense of John 14:6 being more defined. No one comes to the Father except through me. But that path, through the study together, is widened and varied and has room for you. That's now making it sound like it's an argument. There might be argument and contradiction in the home group, disagreement. But actually, I can assure you, while despite politics weaving their way into the tapestry on a regular basis, there is a strong harmony and shared faith, and yet a sense of breathing space that you can provide your own view and agree with that of the others, despite not being a complete match with yours. Multiple lanes side by side. You feel safer than ever in the direction and get a boost from hearing from others. Psalm 8 in this study book had the following questions included. I won't go through them all because it would take a little bit longer, but what's quite typical is that you look at the structure of the psalm first, which may then be something you find again in other psalms, feeling a real scholarly might then. But there's also a finer look at the theme of the psalm, celebration of creation, and bringing it to you. And then some questions bring in external references, enriching the learning. They always make you think, and you're invited to bring your own views. None of this one person at the front hogging the microphone all the time. As we studied it, Psalm 8 reminded me of a lullaby. This is a lullaby that I've known for as long as I can remember, and I strongly associate it with my own faith, which I have to confess started off as God being the imaginary friend I sought out when I was a little scared on my own at bedtime. The comforter, the protector. Nothing wrong with that, but perhaps not fully understanding of all that God is. But the lyrics of this lullaby and this psalm are very comforting indeed. Creation, individuality, love. I'm going to leave this slide up while I play the music that accompanies the lullaby, so you have a chance to spot the similarities to Psalm 8 as it plays. If you play. Oh, no. It's the bottom right image. We can... Oh, yeah. If you go slightly up, I think it popped up as play. If you would go slightly up, if you're in the bottom right corner. Don't worry, we can go over it because it might just be a sign that this was going to be too long, so we will. But it was the lullaby is very simple in its melody of "Can you count the stars up brightly?" Okay. think we'll, but yeah, so those were the words I often fell asleep to, and my children then had the same experience and found it equally comforting. And I won't mention what age they stopped asking me to sing it, but it was much, much longer than I had anticipated, and they still find the tune and the words comforting, and hopefully also as a sign of their faith. So when we studied Psalm 8 in the home group, I had that sense, this is the song, this is the lullaby. And but it's very appropriate to actually put it to music, because at the top of many psalms and Psalm 8, you will find the words, "The director of music, according to Gittith, a psalm of David." So it is indeed intended to be sung. Only, what is a Gittith, we asked ourselves. We discovered that nobody in the world knows what it is. A lost sound. That made us ponder for a while. Lost sound, lost melodies, and you become quite moved. How precious to have these psalms today when they date back to 1500 BC, if you want to use Psalm 90, which is thought to be the oldest psalm and written by Moses. And if we do time travel back to that period, or the period the other psalms were written, we need to remove the projector and the laptop. We need to remove our pew Bibles. We need to remove our uninterrupted access to information and the scriptures through our mobiles. And we need to rely on hearing the words in a service and then remembering them. Who here, like me, finds it easier to remember lyrics of a song than a poem on its own? So thankfully, our time travel does not need to remove the wonderful music group. So and a third of the psalms are marked for the director of music. How wonderful to know that confluence of faith and singing was there from the very beginning, as we all know how powerful it can be to physically feel the words reverberate through your diaphragm, and also how the catchy chorus often accompanies us as an earworm long beyond the Sunday service. The word psalm comes from the Greek word psalmos, which is a poem to music. And as I said, a third of the psalms have the heading to the director of music. That doesn't mean the others are never to be sung. And if you pick up a hymn book and you look at the back in the register, you will find that pretty much every psalm does have, thankfully, music attached to it. Again, it may not be the original Gittith melody, but they are often sung and meaningful. But they are typically, the hymns are inspired by a particular snippet of the Psalms. So the bits we remember most, the earworm section of a hymn we carry away from the service. And yet, we have to be a little bit careful. This is the summary slide I prepared at the end of our home group study of the Psalms. Because the study book had taken the Psalter into its sections and selected a representative psalm for each one, we only studied less than a tenth of the Psalms. And this slide is only a prompt sheet of new discovery. So for Psalm 23, for example, I noted the reference to desert travelers in ancient times being anointed to soothe their skin as a welcome, of being anointed with oils to soothe their dried out skin and offer relief from the dust and the pain of the sun. I'd never come across that before, so I highlighted it in the summary sheet. But when Nadine sent out an email about the summer series and asked us to select our favourite psalm, I had a bit of a panic on multiple levels. Do I have a favourite psalm? Can I say I have when I haven't studied them all? Will I have time to research over the next few days to find the best answer to the question? Of course, the study group summary sheet came to mind, so I could look up the psalm linked to my favourite snippet of all. But you are my shield around me, O Lord. You bestow glory on me and lift up my head. Ah, yes, Psalm 3, that'll do. But then I looked up Psalm 3. Enemies? Foes? God will deliver them? No, this won't do for a summer service, no matter how protective. So I looked again and remembered how Psalm 8 had also spoken to me, and I thought this would suit much better, represents my faith, and allowed me to speak about the importance of music and try to get some brownie points with our wonderful music group. The more I wrote the talk, the more I wondered about snippets. You see, I've had another earworm in recent months. My poor family will tell you that I regularly sing out, I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours in words you don't understand. Just that. Not the beginning of the Miley Cyrus song, not the continuation, not the chorus, just that snippet over and over and over again. I do think they are fantastic lyrics of empowerment, so important to mark the change from find your prince and live happily ever after to know yourself, know your strength. Thankfully, John is an emancipated man and wholeheartedly agrees, and it's a good snippet for our girls to hear, even if the rest of the song can be disconcerting for him to speak of the benefits of breaking up. It's good to keep him on his toes there. But it's also about the love of Jesus for me, so I do love those lyrics. And I guess this snippet selective memory is a case with the Psalms for me. They were written a long time ago. They are a beautiful expression of faith. Many snippets are deeply meaningful to us today. If you just Google quotes from the Psalms, you will come across some of the best words of comfort, of joy, of expression of love, all sorts. Others we need to learn the context of to understand better. But don't be afraid not to sing every single part of every single one. But do find the ones that contain snippets that make you go, wow. So now I'd like to rebuke Nadine, gently. You know, you don't have to have a favourite psalm. You just have to have an understanding of how much beauty there is in so many of them and find your favourite bits. You can also define psalm as psalmist, a poem sung and representing faith. So it may be a hymn. But a bit like I tell my girls, you don't need a best friend to do everything with. You just need to have the best friends you can do everything with. But I would, of course, also like to thank you, Nadine, for this Psalm study summer. It's been a real opportunity, and I'm sure we will all carry away our own treasured snippets from it. So with that, I'd like to finish by playing you a song by Graham Kendrick and Ben Ching that is never used for Psalm 3, but I hope you'll agree the chorus means it ought to be. And please let me know if you find yourself singing, you are my shield and my glory, you are a lifter of my head, and though the storms may rage around me, I'll be safe within, beneath the holy overshadowing. Good luck with that, and with finding your own favourite snippets, or indeed whole psalms. Amen. Right. That's why we should time travel back to ancient times where there's no issues with technology. Yeah. Let me just try.
we'll try and be quick with notices. But just wanted to say thank you to Leonie and to everybody who's done a talk through this 6-week series. I think we've learnt an awful lot and had a chance to think about bits of scripture that we might not normally turn to do that. As Matthew said, back to normal next week, 9 o'clock and 10:45. This afternoon, there's afternoon teas from 2:30 till 4:30. If you are around and feel able, I know that Natalie would appreciate people coming and help to serve. On the 14th of October, even September, until I need a holiday. The 14th of September, they're beating the bounds. St Mary's have done that over a number of years. It's got to be slightly adjusted because of HS2's works up at Dunsmore. But that's going to happen. Michael Crockett and Ian Sainsbury are going to be leading that. And the full details will be in the update on Friday. That same afternoon, we've got a family fun afternoon that Nadine's organising, and I know been asking people to help. And then at 5 o'clock, there'll be a barbecue to bring everything together. And I know by next week, we'll have a list for people to sign up if you want to come to that. You've had the update. You'll also notice a concert that's going to happen, I think, at 6 o'clock. On the 15th of September. And this is the bringing together of St Mary's Aylesbury and Wendover Choral Society doing some madrigals. The new musical director of the Choral Society is also the musical director of St Mary's Aylesbury. So they're coming together to do that concert. It will be free, but with donations to church. There are still quite a lot of letters at the back of church. I've spread some out. There are ones in the boxes as well. If you haven't had a letter, then please take one. The letter is about raising the money for a pioneer minister for children, young people and families. I am thrilled to say that already we've had pledges of £19,500, which is just fantastic. But please, if you haven't already had a chance to think, don't think we don't need to, because we need 60 from however we can get that. So, but thank you, and that's so much prayer has gone into that. So please, if you feel you can, your letter will have a pledge form that needs to go back to Pete Dean, either through the office or leaving in church for him or emailing it to him. I said I'm in need of a holiday. Paul and I are heading up to Manchester on Wednesday because on Saturday, our daughter Sarah is marrying William at their church at St Philip's Chapel Street in Manchester. Lots of people said, am I doing it? No, I'm not. I've got a very fine pink fascinator to wear. And yesterday at 12:35, I said to Paul, by now you'll have done the first bit, which is walk Sarah down the aisle. So we are so excited. We know that they are. Please be holding, particularly Sarah and William, in your prayers as they begin their married life, but all of us as we come together to celebrate next week. And then I will be off for the next 2 weeks after that. So we'll be back on the 22nd. So thank you. Oh, and there will be tea and coffee, I can see, outside, so please head out there afterwards.